Leadership matters. Sometimes it's pretty hard too. You know that. And we can make it harder than it needs to be. Let's have another conversation about a small change you can make that brings about a big difference right away. You know this is part of the HILT Academy, High Impact Leadership Training. I'm Dee Hicks. Thanks for taking a little bit of time. Let's talk about something that I experience on a pretty regular basis and had to continually remind myself to make this small change so that I can get a better result. Let's talk about how many people today have you actually talked to? How many people have you interacted with? Not folks that you just passed on the street or passed on a bus or a train or wherever you are, but people you actually interacted with, even for 10, 15 seconds. How much of what you interacted about do you remember? If you remember much of it, it'll mostly be because you felt a certain way about that interaction. Maybe the interaction annoyed you, so you can remember it. Or maybe it made you kind of happy, or maybe it made you excited and inspired. If you felt some sort of connection with that person, then you will probably remember the interaction. That's what I want to talk with you about. If you're a leader and a manager or supervisor, an influencer of people, this small change is very, very difficult to do. However, once you and I get good at it, it makes a big difference right away. Here's the idea. We have a lot of stuff that we want to get accomplished throughout the day. We've got long to-do lists. We like getting to the end of our day and sitting down and looking through mentally or literally our to-do lists and checking them off. And if you're like me, the longer the list and the more check marks on that list of things that are done, you kind of feel better about the day than if it was like one thing and you checked it off, but it's not really even done. But thinking that way and living that way, while it's fine to keep track of what needs to get done and check it off and feel that great sense of satisfaction when it's done, allows me to miss out on some really significant things that can happen. Here's the idea. You and I want to learn how to connect first and then deliver or receive content second. Connect first, content second. When we go throughout our day, the busier the day, we might result in us feeling more effective or productive at the end of the day. But the busier the day, the more we tend to turn people into objects. The more we tend to turn them into tools. Hopefully not tools with a capital T, you know what I mean there, but we tend to turn people into tools. They are people that are like human resources, or they are our staff, or that kind of thing. And when we do that, when it's just another appointment on my calendar, or it's just another to-do when I'm having a conversation with someone, or I'm sending them an email, or I'm talking with them on the phone, it's just another thing to do, then I tend to flatten that person out, tend to make them almost two-dimensional. We've found that when we actually turn a person into a three-dimensional person, or let's get real, they're already three-dimensional, but you and I, because we get so busy, we flatten them out. So when we take a moment to see who that person actually is in that moment, then we are going to be much, much more effective at communicating. We're going to be much more effective at learning, at understanding, at gathering what's going on, at getting and giving good wisdom and judgment. And so when we want to learn this simple skill, what it means is that when I interact with people, have to pay particular attention to that hyper-caffeinated brain that I've got. Maybe you've got one too, that wants to rush from one thing to another. And when you're in an interaction with somebody, part of your brain is thinking about the next interaction or the one past that. You're thinking, how much time do I have? So you're wanting to rush on to the next thing and not actually stopping, stooping into the world in which that person lives and staying there long enough to connect. The tool connect first, content second simply means that. Slow down. Connect with that person as a human being. Get out of my head and get into their space. And it's not some creepy thing where you sit back and become a therapist with the person and want them to tell you their deepest, darkest secrets. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with understanding that that person that you're leading or managing or supervising, that person on your team, is somebody who's living in a context They just came from something and you're not aware of it. They brought something in from home and you're not aware of it. It's really important to slow down enough to turn that person into the full person that they actually are in front of you. I think of that as a three-dimensional person. Actually just connect with the person. And it might be just as simple as, hey, what were you just doing before we had this conversation? What was your day like? Most of the time the answers are going to be pretty short. Say, hey, how you doing today? Probably going to be followed with a fine, because it's likely that person is also not connecting with you. Or if you are their supervisor, there's a little bit of a power differential perceived there, that they think you're looking for the right answer, or you're looking for something, or you're evaluating constantly. Well, this is designed to get us to actually treat one another with the respect that is there already. Slow down, connect. That's an actual person. Now, it's possible you're thinking, but I'm too busy to connect with people. That just takes way too long. It really doesn't. It takes a few seconds to slow your brain down, take a deep breath, look at the person that you're actually going to be communicating with. Or if you're on the phone, then imagine their face. If you're sending them an email, harder to do, imagine where they might be when they read the email. Picture the person. Take just a second, if you're face-to-face, and ask a question. So, how was that last meeting? Or how was lunch? Or what did you do? Just enough to realize that there's a real person there. Now, I do this as much for me as for them, to get me into that space where I slow my brain down so that I can actually listen. Genuinely listen. I will miss 90% of what's going on in that person's world and in their scope of responsibility if I don't slow down and listen. This is what enables me to do that. It also enables me, when I slow down and connect, hey, how's it going? What's going on with your project? How was that last meeting? That sort of thing. If I do that, then it also helps me to learn. And when you and I learn something new, small or large, it creates this amazing neurochemical bath in our brain, a combination of dopamine and serotonin for sure. And if what we learn is really interesting and we like it, we get a little shot of oxytocin that goes with it as well. These three amazing cocktail of neurochemicals that help us bond with other people and create new pathways, learning new directions. Connect first, content second. If you're a parent, this can work really well as well, just by way of a quick illustration. That is, let's imagine you've had a long day and you've worked hard and you've got a lot done, and you come home and you walk in the front door and you've got children around. Let's make them junior high children just for this illustration. And they're doing their basic thing. And you could walk in the front door and you could right away say, did you get your homework done? Right away, did you take the garbage cans out? Right away, did you clean your room, or did you fix this or do that? Right away. That's content first. Now, you've probably done that enough to actually kind of get the feeling and the memory of what that was like and how well it worked. It didn't work very well. Connect first. You're the mom, or you're the dad, you're the parent. Walk in the room, slow down enough, get out of your own space and out of your own head enough, get into theirs, just for a second, connect with that little person. If you do that enough, then they will actually respond more quickly to it than if you just did it oddly and you never do it very much. Connect with the kid first. So, tell me something I don't know. Tell me about your day. Now, it's likely that whether you're doing that with a full-grown adult peer, somebody you work with, or with your child, their first response is going to be, fine, nothing, good, okay. Don't stop there. Take a pause, take a breath, and ask a follow-up question. That's not a yes/no question. It's just a follow-up. What's that like? And it's okay if the person doesn't want to go there. That's fine. It's not like you're going into some deep conversation. That's not what I'm saying. You're just turning that person into a real three-dimensional person. Otherwise, if you and I don't do that, we will start treating everyone around us like they're a tool, like they are a person that's in front of us to get something done. We will treat them like this ink pen, or we'll treat them like our iPad. Actually, eventually, we'll probably treat them worse than our iPad. We will take less care of that working relationship than we do of our own iPads because we didn't take the time to connect first and then go to the content. Of course, we got to go to the content. Of course, we got to know. How's that going? Did you make that decision? Did you follow up? What's the progress? What's the deadline? Of course, we got to talk about all that stuff. But let's talk about it with a real person instead of with a tool who's right in front of us. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Think about this. Connect first, content second. And if you wonder, is that even going to work very well for you? Just keep track of this as your assignment. Next time you're in a meeting and you felt utterly invisible, or you had an idea and no one listened to it, think about how that actually feels. Think about the missed opportunity that that team had because you were utterly invisible. Why was that? Because someone didn't connect with you before the content was shared. So you can see it from both sides that way. Anyway, just a little something to think about. I hope this is helpful. If you practice this discipline, it'll make a massive difference, a big difference. It's just a small change. It makes a big difference, requires some discipline, and it'll make that big difference right away. After you're finished watching this video, try it with the next person you see and see what happens. Again, it's very brief, it's very short. I hope this is helpful. If it was, hit that like button. If you want more, hit the subscribe button. If you want to know when it's going to come out, hit that bell, and that'll tell you in your email when that our next content will be rolling out. I hope you're having a great day. Keep up the good work. Here's to you.